The stones that walk alone. Imagine walking through a vast, silent desert. There are no trees, no shade, just an immense cracked plain under the sun. A surface that looks like the dry bottom of a lake, forgotten by time. Suddenly, you see something that defies all logic. A solitary rock, weighing several kilos. And behind it, a long, curved trail, perfectly traced on the ground. But there are no human footprints, no wheels. And the most puzzling thing, the rock has moved. By itself? Welcome, explorers of the unknown, to Wandergems, the channel where we travel beyond traditional tourist destinations to delve into the most mysterious corners of the world. Today, we head to one of the most enigmatic places in North America, Racetrack Playa, located in the remote and scorching Death Valley, California, United States. A place where the laws of physics seem to stop, where rocks walk alone, leaving behind a trail that has puzzled both scientists and skeptics for over a century. Is it a natural phenomenon not yet understood? A hoax? Or perhaps something more? On this journey, we will explore the origins of the mystery, the latest scientific discoveries, the paranormal accounts surrounding it, and what this phenomenon may reveal about the limits of our understanding of the natural world. But first, make sure to subscribe to Wandergems and activate the bell so you don't miss any hidden corners of this fascinating yet inexplicable planet. Get ready for a journey to the heart of the mystery, where time stands still and the stones begin to move. This is the enigma of the sliding stones of Racetrack Playa. The stage of the mystery, Racetrack Playa. To understand why this mystery is so perplexing, we must first know the stage. Racetrack Playa is a vast, dry plain located in the northwest corner of Death Valley, in the hottest national park in the United States. We are talking about an inhospitable remote terrain where summer temperatures exceed 50 degrees Celsius, and life is scarce. The place gets its name from a very peculiar feature, its surface. Flat as a mirror, smooth as a racetrack, but with a unique texture. The clay has cracked over time, forming patterns that seem intentionally created. But what most puzzles visitors is not its appearance, but what happens on it. For generations, those who venture here find stones scattered across the dry lake bed. Large, heavy stones, some weighing over 300 kilos. And the most unsettling part, many of them leave behind a trail, as if they had been dragged for meters, or even dozens of meters. Gentle curves, strange turns, paths that seem deliberate. But how? The ground is not marked by human footprints, nor animal tracks, nor tires. And most importantly, no one has ever seen one of these stones move in real time. For decades, it was only static evidence. A haunting photograph, a rock that has moved. The ancient native inhabitants of the area, the Timbisha Shoshone, already avoided this region. For them, Death Valley was a spiritual place, dangerous, where the elements were more than nature. They were forces that lived and decided. There are no written records of legends about walking stones, but oral tales convey a deep respect and fear for this arid and strange area. So, what causes rocks weighing hundreds of kilos to slide without human intervention? The team also noticed that the stones didn't move constantly. Years could pass without visible changes, and suddenly, after a storm or an especially cold winter, new marks appeared as if by magic. Scientists theorized that it might be a combination of rain, ice, and wind. But the problem was the lack of direct observation. No one had witnessed the movement. It was all inference. One of the most common arguments was the desert wind. Some believed that strong gusts could push the rocks when the ground was wet and slippery. But there was a problem. How could the wind move stones weighing over 300 kilos without toppling smaller ones in its path? The calculations didn't add up. To move those rocks, winds of over 150 km/h would be needed. And there's no evidence that such constant winds occur in Racetrack Playa without leaving other visible damage. Still, attempts to explain the phenomenon rationally continued. But with each new theory, new inconsistencies emerged. In parallel, the phenomenon began to gain traction in popular culture. Magazines like Life magazine and National Geographic published photos of the mysterious trails. And soon, Racetrack Playa ceased to be just a geological site and became a symbol of the inexplicable. Tourists began to arrive. TV shows of the time referred to the place as an unusual energy point. And, as expected, paranormal theories soon emerged. What if the stones weren't moving on their own, but were being moved by something? Something we can't measure. Theories from beyond. The supernatural enters the scene. When science can't clearly explain a phenomenon, the ground opens up for something else. During the 1970s and 1980s, a new wave of interest enveloped Racetrack Playa. This time, it didn't come from laboratories or universities, but from communities of paranormal researchers, ufologists, and occult theorists. The stones that move on their own, without anyone touching them, became proof for many that something bigger, more invisible, was acting in Death Valley. One of the most popular theories at that time was the unstable magnetic field. It was said that Racetrack Playa might be over a natural electromagnetic anomaly, similar to that of the Bermuda Triangle. Some speculated that the stones contained iron in their composition, and that mysterious magnetic fields were pushing them across the surface. But when geologists analyzed the composition of the rocks, they found that many were not ferrous. They were normal rocks, without magnetic properties. The theory fell flat. Then the ufologists arrived. Some argued that Racetrack Playa was a landing point for extraterrestrial ships, or worse, a site for covert government testing. Remember Area 51? Well, Racetrack Playa isn't far on the map. Stories began to emerge of strange lights in the sky, of electronic devices failing in the area, and even of visitors claiming to have felt an invisible presence while walking across the plain. Others, even more mystical, proposed that the place was a vortex of planetary energy, one of those nodes where the Earth's telluric energies align and cause inexplicable phenomena. Some esoteric groups held massive meditations at the site. They claimed they could feel how the ground vibrated with a different frequency, almost as if it were alive. Collective delusion, suggestion, or fragments of a truth we still don't understand? Whatever the case, these theories, as extravagant as they may seem, kept the mystery alive. And while science still hadn't managed to capture a stone moving in real time, supernatural hypotheses continued to gain ground. But all that was about to change. Because by the end of the 20th century, a group of scientists decided to change the rules of the game. And their plan was to directly observe the impossible. The hunt for movement, science in real time. With the turn of the millennium, the strategy also changed. The mystery of the sliding stones of Racetrack Playa was no longer just a topic for debates among scientists and believers. It became a high-level scientific mission. Technological advances offered a unique opportunity to observe the phenomenon in real time with precision instruments. And thus was born one of the most ambitious experiments ever conducted in Death Valley. In 2006, a team led by geologist Dr. Ralph Lorenz, an expert in planetary physics who even worked with NASA, became obsessed with the mysterious rocks. Their approach was simple, yet powerful. You cannot explain what has not been seen, so you must see it. With the authorization of the National Park Service, the team began tagging some of the most prominent rocks with high-precision GPS devices. What was the goal? To record any movement, no matter how small. Each rock became a kind of spy of the mystery. But long-range cameras were also installed at the edges of the dry lake bed, carefully camouflaged to withstand the harsh climate. Patient, constant, ready to record for months, even years. The first months were frustrating. Nothing moved. The desert seemed to mock the scientists with its ancient silence. But then, it happened. On a frosty winter morning in 2013, after an especially cold night, one of the devices recorded a small change in position. Then another, and another one. After more than a century of mystery, for the first time, the human eye, aided by technology, saw a stone move on its own. The finding was historic, but it was not what many expected. It was not the howling wind, nor aliens, nor levitation. It was something much more subtle, and, perhaps, much more beautiful. The key was not force. It was fragility. On winter nights, the Racetrack Playa bed can fill with a thin layer of water. Then, at dawn, that water freezes, forming an extremely thin sheet of ice, just a few millimeters thick. As the sun warms the ice, it begins to crack. The ice plates, driven by gentle breezes of just 10 km/h, push the stones that are partially embedded in them. And they do so slowly, sometimes for hours, just a few centimeters per minute. That's how they move, in silence, without witnesses, as if the desert were breathing very slowly, for a fraction of the year, and only when conditions are perfect. The global reaction, the mystery revealed or reinvented. The news spread like wildfire. For the first time, they captured the movement of the stones in Death Valley. Headlines around the world celebrated what many called the end of one of North America's oldest mysteries. The media quickly covered the story. Special programs, interviews with scientists, animated recreations. The world finally had a tangible explanation. Thin ice plates, gentle breezes, and extremely precise conditions. A meteorological miracle, yes, but explainable. But something curious happened here. Although the mystery seemed solved, the fascination did not diminish. In fact, for many, it increased. Because what was once inexplicable now revealed itself as an even more delicate, complex, and beautiful phenomenon than imagined. They were not ghosts. It was not magic. It was the precise symphony of nature, performed once or twice a year in the darkness of dawn, when no one is watching. And that revelation, for many, did not kill the mystery. It elevated it. Visits to the site did not decrease. On the contrary, Racetrack Playa became a symbol that nature can still surprise us, even in the age of satellites, cameras, and drones. Tourists came in search of the famous stones, not to solve the enigma, but to see with their own eyes the traces of a phenomenon that, although explained, still seems impossible. And so Racetrack Playa changed its status. It went from being an unanswered mystery to becoming an ephemeral masterpiece of natural physics. A reminder that there are things that, even when we understand them, continue to amaze us. Is that less mysterious? Or perhaps, is it even more magical? Art, metaphor, and mystery when the stones speak. And although the mystery of Racetrack Playa now has a scientific explanation, its ability to inspire has not disappeared. It has only evolved. Over the years, photographers from around the world have traveled hundreds, even thousands of kilometers just to capture a unique image: a rock, a trail, an immense desert plain, and a sky that seems to touch infinity. These images are not mere visual records. They are poetry in the form of landscape. They are a visual question. How can something so simple be so profound? The phenomenon has also been a constant source of philosophical metaphors. In lectures, books, and essays, many thinkers have used the movement of the stones as a symbol of human concepts. The invisible movement of our lives. The hidden force of change. Time as a silent sculptor. Some authors have said that stones are like our decisions. They seem small, still, but they leave long traces behind them. And although the impulse that moves them is invisible, their mark is indelible. In literature, Racetrack Playa has been the setting for tales of magical realism, science fiction novels, and even existential poetry. The image of a stone sliding without visible hands has become a symbol of what we don't understand, but feel. Cinema has not been indifferent either. In independent films and art documentaries, the plane appears as a space suspended in time, a place where the rules seem different, where movement doesn't need speed, and change doesn't require witnesses. Even in the spiritual world, some have interpreted Racetrack Playa as a metaphor for the soul. The soul, they say, moves in silence. Sometimes we don't notice it, but it is advancing. It leaves traces, it leaves history. And like those stones, it doesn't need anyone to push it in plain sight. It only needs the exact moment. Racetrack Playa is not just a physical sight. It is an inner place. A beach where we all have stones that move without knowing how, and traces that mark our passage, even when we don't remember taking the first step. Fragile as the wind, preservation of a living mystery. The mystery of Racetrack Playa attracted the world's attention. And with that attention came the crowds. Every year, thousands of visitors arrive at Death Valley to see the famous sliding rocks with their own eyes. Some come with respect, others, unfortunately, with carelessness. Despite its vastness and arid appearance, Racetrack Playa is an extremely fragile ecosystem. The surface of the bed is a thin layer of clay and silt, which can take decades to regenerate if damaged. A single step off the designated paths can leave a mark that lasts over 10 years. A vehicle that enters by mistake, or arrogance, can destroy centuries of geological history in seconds. That's why, for over a decade, the National Park Service has reinforced protective measures in the area. Informational signs, monitoring cameras, and specialized personnel patrol the region. But still, the threat persists. Every year we see tourists lifting stones, leaving trash, walking on the trails, or trying to take home souvenirs. What they don't understand is that they are taking a part of the mystery, and they are destroying it. The challenge of preserving Racetrack Playa is not just technical. It is also ethical. Because when we uncover the secrets of nature, we gain knowledge. But we also acquire a responsibility. It's no longer about finding the truth. it's about protecting it. Ensuring that future generations can also marvel, not just at the explanation, but at the experience. What good is it to know the mystery if we destroy it in the process? That's why today, more than ever, Racetrack Playa needs more than just the curious. It needs guardians of wonder, conscious explorers, travelers who understand that wonder is not just observed, it is cared for. The Human Legacy, Lessons from Racetrack Playa. Racetrack Playa is not just a geological mystery. It is also a human experience. For many, the journey to this remote corner of Death Valley is more than mere tourism. It is a pilgrimage, a personal quest. Many who have come here say the same thing. It's not just seeing the stones move that transforms them, but what the playa teaches them while they sit there in silence. When I first arrived here, I only thought about the stones, how they moved without being touched. But after being here for a while, I realized that it's something much bigger. It's time, patience, stillness. This place teaches you to look beyond the obvious. It puts you in perspective. It makes you think about the footprints you leave, the ones you leave unintentionally, the ones that leave you. Racetrack Playa reminds us that we are just small fragments of a much larger whole. The movement of the stones, although inexplicable at the time, is not just a physical phenomenon. It is a reminder that everything in life is in constant change, even when it seems that everything is still. Time does not stop. Every traveler who approaches this mysterious bed of salt and clay sees not only the movement of the stones, they also see the movement of their own life. I spent hours here, watching the trails and listening to the wind. At first, I thought I was just waiting to see something incredible. But soon I realized I was searching for something within myself. In the end, I realized the stones weren't the mystery. Time was. Change. It's fascinating how this phenomenon, which seems so simple, has left an indelible mark on everyone who witnesses it. Some see it as a symbol of resilience, how nature can adapt and create beauty, even in the most extreme conditions. Others see it as a lesson in patience, how the smallest movement can have astonishing effects over time. The tracks of Racetrack Playa are not just those left by the stones. They are also the marks on the hearts of those who once sat there and allowed themselves to be changed by the place. Because when we face the inexplicable, we confront something greater than the rocks. We confront ourselves. The eternal mystery, the never-ending search. When we face the inexplicable, our first reaction is often to seek an answer. We want to understand, to master the unknown. And that's what we've done with the stones that move on their own in Racetrack Playa. We've unraveled their mystery. Cameras have recorded their movement. Science has explained their dynamics. The enigma that once dazzled us has been solved. But here lies a truth that not everyone sees. The mystery hasn't disappeared. It has only transformed. Now that we know how the stones move, what have we really gained? Has the answer dissolved the magic? Or has it actually brought us closer to the mystery of life itself? Because the mystery isn't in the stone, it's in us. It's the constant question that drives us, the desire to understand what lies beyond the visible, the tangible. And although the stones are no longer an enigma, their power remains the same. They invite us to look beyond the surface, to ask ourselves not just what moves the stones, but what moves our lives. The mystery of Racetrack Playa isn't just about the rocks. It's about humanity's constant search to understand the inexplicable, to find meaning in chaos. It's proof that not everything must be explained, because within the mystery lies an essential part of our humanity. And as the stars cross the sky over Death Valley, The stones continue to move, unseen by anyone. Their journey goes on, unstoppable, even though no one truly knows why. And it's that uncertainty that continues to fuel our curiosity, that continues to inspire us. Perhaps we'll never discover all the answers, but maybe that's what makes the search worthwhile. Because as long as mysteries like Racetrack Playa exist, the world will never cease to amaze us. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson this place leaves us, that in the end, the mystery is what moves us. Thank you for joining us on this journey here at Wandergems. See you at the next mystery.